As war continues to cast a long shadow over Ukraine, the question of sustainable peace becomes ever more urgent. A new proposition emerges, a European-led peacekeeping mission. Could this be the answer to ending the bloodshed and securing a lasting peace? The idea holds both promise and peril, demanding a careful examination of the complexities and challenges ahead. Can Europe rise to this challenge and become a beacon of hope for a war-torn nation? The world is watching, hoping that Europe can indeed rise to the occasion and help forge a path towards a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. A European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine would be a multifaceted endeavor, encompassing a range of tasks designed to stabilize the region and create the conditions for lasting peace. At its core would be the deployment of peacekeeping troops, tasked with maintaining a buffer zone between warring factions and ensuring the safety of civilians caught in the crossfire. These troops would need to be well-equipped and trained, capable of operating in a volatile and unpredictable environment. Beyond troop deployment, the mission would likely involve a robust air support component, providing surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities, as well as the ability to respond swiftly to any breaches of the peace. This air power would be crucial in deterring aggression and ensuring the security of the peacekeeping force on the ground. Furthermore, effective border monitoring would be essential to prevent the flow of weapons and fighters into the conflict zone, requiring sophisticated surveillance technology and close cooperation with neighboring countries. The success of the mission would depend not only on its military and technological capabilities, but also on its ability to address the root causes of the conflict. This would entail supporting dialogue and reconciliation efforts between the warring parties, facilitating humanitarian aid delivery to those in need, and assisting in the rebuilding of infrastructure and institutions destroyed by the war. The proposed European-led peacekeeping mission represents a bold and ambitious undertaking. Its success would hinge on the commitment of European nations to provide the necessary resources and political will, as well as their ability to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape and work effectively with international partners. One of the most pressing challenges facing a European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine is the sheer scale of the task. The conflict zone spans a vast geographical area, necessitating a significant number of troops to effectively patrol borders, monitor ceasefires, and protect civilians. Estimates vary, but some experts suggest that a force of tens of thousands of troops would be required to ensure adequate coverage and operational effectiveness. Assembling and deploying such a large force would pose a significant logistical hurdle for European nations. It would require coordinating the contributions of multiple countries, each with their own military doctrines, equipment, and logistical chains. This would demand seamless cooperation and information sharing, as well as the ability to overcome language barriers and cultural differences within the multinational force. Beyond the initial deployment, sustaining a long-term peacekeeping operation in Ukraine would require a constant flow of supplies, equipment, and personnel. This would entail establishing secure supply lines, setting up field hospitals and logistical hubs, and ensuring the continuous rotation of troops to avoid fatigue and maintain morale. The financial costs of such an undertaking would be substantial, requiring a significant commitment of resources from participating European nations. Addressing the challenges of troop numbers and logistics would be crucial for the success of any European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine. Failure to do so could undermine the mission's credibility, limit its operational effectiveness, and jeopardize the lives of both peacekeepers and civilians. Section 4. A tangled web, geopolitics and U.S. involvement. The conflict in Ukraine is not merely a regional crisis, it is a geopolitical flashpoint with global implications. The involvement of major powers, particularly the United States, adds another layer of complexity to any potential European-led peacekeeping mission. The U.S. has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine, providing military aid and imposing sanctions on Russia. Its stance on a European-led peacekeeping force would be crucial, as its support, or lack thereof, could significantly impact the mission's feasibility and effectiveness. Moreover, Russia's position on a European-led peacekeeping presence in Ukraine remains a major unknown. Moscow has consistently opposed any Western military presence near its borders, and could perceive such a mission as a direct threat to its interests. Any peacekeeping initiative would need to carefully navigate these sensitivities and seek to engage Russia in a constructive dialogue to avoid further escalation of tensions. Beyond the US and Russia, the wider international community, particularly neighboring countries and international organizations like the United Nations, would also need to be consulted and their concerns addressed. Achieving a consensus among these diverse actors, each with their own agendas and interests, would be a diplomatic tightrope walk requiring skillful negotiation and a shared commitment to finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The geopolitical landscape surrounding Ukraine is fraught with challenges and potential pitfalls. A successful European-led peacekeeping mission would require careful diplomacy, a nuanced understanding of the competing interests at play, and a willingness to engage all stakeholders in a constructive dialogue to find a sustainable path towards peace. Section 5. Europe's Defense Awakening a Sleeping Giant. The prospect of a European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine has sparked debate about European defense and its ability to project military power. For decades, European defense has relied on NATO, with the US playing a dominant role. The conflict in Ukraine has exposed the limitations of relying solely on NATO for European security. This has led to calls for greater European strategic autonomy and strengthening the EU's defense capabilities. The EU has established the Permanent Structured Cooperation Framework for Defense Cooperation and created the European Defense Fund to finance joint defense projects. However, progress has been slow, and significant gaps remain in Europe's ability to mount large-scale military operations independently. A European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine would be a major test for European defense, requiring a coordinated effort from EU member states. It would necessitate overcoming obstacles to European defense integration, such as duplication of efforts and lack of interoperability. The success of such a mission could serve as a catalyst for deeper European defense cooperation. Section 6. A house-divided disunity within the Union. While the idea of a European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine has gained some traction, achieving consensus among EU member states remains a significant hurdle. The EU is far from a monolithic entity, and its member states hold diverse views on the conflict and the appropriate level of European involvement. Some countries, particularly those geographically closer to Ukraine and with historical ties to the region, are more supportive of a robust European response, including a peacekeeping mission. Others, however, are more cautious, wary of escalating tensions with Russia or getting drawn into a protracted conflict. They may favor a more hands-off approach, focusing on diplomatic efforts and humanitarian aid. This divergence of opinions reflects deeper divisions within the EU on foreign policy and security issues, as well as varying levels of trust in the EU's ability to act effectively as a united front on the global stage. Furthermore, some EU member states may be reluctant to commit significant military resources to a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, while facing their own domestic challenges such as economic constraints or internal political divisions. This lack of unity within the EU could undermine the credibility of any proposed peacekeeping mission, making it difficult to assemble the necessary resources, political will, and coordinated action required for success. Overcoming these internal divisions and forging a common European position on the conflict in Ukraine is essential for the EU to play a meaningful role in securing peace. It requires open dialogue, compromise, and a recognition that a united Europe is stronger and more effective than a fragmented one. Section 7. The long road to peace, prospects and obstacles. The prospect of a European-led peacekeeping mission in Ukraine presents a complex tapestry of potential benefits and formidable challenges. On the one hand, such a mission could contribute significantly to stabilizing the region, protecting civilians, and creating the conditions for a lasting peace. It could demonstrate European solidarity with Ukraine, enhance the EU's credibility as a security actor, and potentially even serve as a catalyst for deeper European defense integration. However, the obstacles to success are substantial. The sheer scale of the conflict, the logistical complexities of deploying and sustaining a large peacekeeping force, and the intricate geopolitical landscape all pose significant challenges. Moreover, internal divisions within the EU, varying levels of commitment to European defense, and the potential for pushback from Russia all threaten to undermine the mission's effectiveness. Ultimately, the success of any European-led peacekeeping effort in Ukraine hinges on a multitude of factors, many of which are beyond the sole control of European actors. It demands a clear and achievable mandate, sustained political will from EU member states, adequate resources and capabilities, and a willingness to engage in difficult dialogue with all parties to the conflict. While the road to peace in Ukraine is long and arduous, the potential benefits of a European-led peacekeeping mission, if implemented effectively and with unwavering commitment, are too significant to ignore. The international community must continue to explore all avenues for a peaceful resolution to the conflict, and a unified and resolute Europe has a crucial role to play in this endeavor.